On what would be their last night as slaves in Egypt, the Israelites sat down to eat the Passover. They ate it with staves in their hands, with shoes on their feet, and with their loins girded. That night all the firstborn sons in Egypt died. Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron. In complete exasperation, Pharaoh commanded them to go. Moses told the people to borrow of the Egyptians jewels, silver, and gold. Yahweh gave Israel favor, and thus they spoiled Egypt. Israel went out of Egypt as a great multitude, like an innumerable army. They carried with them the bones of Joseph. By day, they followed the pillar of cloud. By night, the pillar of fire. They could go by the way of the Philistines, but God had plans and led them by the way of the Red Sea. At God's command, the Israelites set up their tents on the shores of the Red Sea, and they waited to see what God had in store for them next. Back in Egypt, God continued to use Pharaoh's heart to illustrate an important lesson regarding King Sin. Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he regretted letting his servants go. In his great pride, Pharaoh hatched a dastardly plan. He assembled his captains, and soon they would charge after Israel with 600 chariots. Back at the Red Sea, the Israelites' faith was lagging. They questioned why God had brought them out of Egypt to die in the wilderness. They felt trapped. The sea blocked them in front, and from behind they were threatened by Pharaoh's horse and Pharaoh's chariot, and of course Pharaoh himself. What would they do? The multitude of Israel would have to stand still and trust in the salvation of Yahweh. The cloud that was behind moved between them and Pharaoh's army. It left the Egyptians in darkness, but gave light to Israel. Moses then stood up at the edge of the Red Sea and stretched out the rod of God in his hand. A strong east wind divided the waters and turned the sea into dry land. What a marvelous sight it must have been for Moses standing and overlooking the sea as God parted the waters. As he watched Israel cross over on dry land, all Israel, including Joseph's bones. As he watched the Egyptians on the shore held back by the cloud. Psalm 77 tells us there were lightnings and thunders and great rain, that the earth trembled. Eventually, the sorry Egyptians faithfully pursued after Israel, and once they were in the midst of the sea, Moses stretched out his rod a second time, and the waters returned upon the heads of the Egyptian soldiers. The Israelites looked from the shore and saw that not one Egyptian remained.